In today's video, we're going to do a little bit of work with contractions of different strength. In the video on Tuesday, we talked a little bit about the rate of perceived effort, so the RPE, and we come up with a little scale that I use in my upcoming book in conjunction with different types of pelvic floor training. Now, in this video, we're going to work with a contraction that is just a little bit more than the tonic contraction you will have. So we're going to call this an RPE of 4. So you're going to hold a contraction at the level of 4 for an extended period. Now, 4 is a contraction that you can hold for quite a long time. But what we're going to do is, while we're holding this nice steady 4, we're going to go for a 10 and then relax, and a 10 and then relax, and a 10 and then relax. And if you think about a 10 is the maximum rate that you can contract. It's as much as you can possibly do. So when you make that contraction, you're also going to co-contract. Now, this is something that can't be avoided because your pelvic floor does have synergistic relationships with other muscles that surround the pelvic floor. So when you make the contraction, think about your fist. Now, if your pelvic floor is your fist, when you do the tonic contraction, it's just like you're holding something. You could hold it all day. There's no effort. That's your 4. But when you do your contraction that is maximum strength, it's going to be like a really, really, really tough squeeze. So you're going to squeeze as hard as you can. When you do that, if you look when I do it on my arm, you can see that more muscles will react. And it's the same with your pelvic floor. When you do that really strong contraction of your pelvic floor, your core is going to engage, your glutes are going to engage, some of your adductors and your abductors, everything is going to fire just a little, but we're not going to hold it for long. So we're going to have a nice steady contraction. So we're going to do a little squeeze and lift, we're going to hold, and then we're going to do a really big squeeze and relax, but we're not relaxing all the way to the bottom. We're just relaxing a little. So think of this as a 4 with a 10, down to a 4, up to a 10, down to a 4. And we're going to do this just a few times. So this is a really, really good way to really stress the pelvic floor so that you start to produce hypertrophy. What you want to do is you want to fire up as many of your muscle units as possible in your pelvic floor. You want the whole thing to work. So before we begin, we're going to do a gentle activation where we pull all of the different parts of the pelvic floor together. So we're just going to do 3 or 4 squeeze and lifts. So you remember that we start with drawing front to back, side to side. We close the opening around the urethra. We close the opening around the anus. We lift up on the perineum. We try to close the opening around the vagina. We do it all together. So you're going to do that same contraction. If you're new to the channel, I suggest that before you try these maximal contractions, that you do some of the earlier work. So go back, I'll put a little link to some of the earlier videos here, so you can go back and do some of the more subtle activations. But when you've got that subtle activation knocked down, you know exactly what you're doing and everything fires for you, then you want to start to really work. So, finding a comfortable seat, you're going to allow yourself to relax, have a nice tall spine. Just bring your hands and allow them to relax onto your legs. Now, I'm going to use my hands to demonstrate here, just to show you what you need to be doing. But I do not want you to make fists with your hands. I don't want you to squinch your face or to squeeze your body. There will be co-contraction when you do your maximum strength contraction, but it shouldn't be coming from your hands. It shouldn't be coming from your face. It shouldn't be coming from anything other than the muscles that naturally fire along with your pelvic floor when it does a maximum contraction. So allow the hands to relax onto your legs. You can close your eyes if you want to. I want you to bring everything gently together and lift up. Gently, imagine that you're holding your fist very gently. So your pelvic floor, just imagine that it's the same as just holding onto a little marble in your hand. You're not really trying to squeeze it, you're just holding it gently. And then just breathing in and out, just find the rhythm of your own breath. And then on your next exhalation, you're going to do a maximum contraction. So you're squeezing the pelvic floor as hard as you possibly can, just like the fist here is squeezing, and relax. Keep the 4, so you're not going all the way back down to 0. You're keeping that gentle hold. So you're not letting go completely, you're keeping a gentle hold. So keep that hold, And then on your next exhale, you're going to squeeze as hard as you can. So squeeze it like you're squeezing a fist. Then relax. Down to 4, not all the way down. You still have a little grip. You haven't given up yet. So keep the gentle contraction. Keep holding. And then on your next exhale, you're going to squeeze as hard as you can. Now, when you squeeze your pelvic floor as hard as you can, it's like making a really strong fist. Relax. Keep it at 4. Don't go all the way down to 0. And just try to hold that 4 contraction. We're going to do one more. So again, on your next exhale, you're going to squeeze your pelvic floor as hard as you can. Let the rest of your body stay relaxed. Squeeze the pelvic floor and relax to 4. Just hold the 4 just for a little bit longer and relax. So let everything be soft in your pelvic floor. Now when you do this, I demonstrate it with my hands. I don't want you squeezing your hands. Let them be really soft on your legs. Let your legs be soft. Let your body be nice and tall. Try not to use the other muscles deliberately. They will fire, but it's not you actively squeezing them. So you'll feel the core engage. If I do a really strong squeeze on the pelvic floor, I feel the core engage, but I'm not actually actively adding it in. It just comes naturally. So this is one of the little tricks that you can do to get your pelvic floor to start firing a little bit more. You're always aiming to use as much recruitment, as much muscular recruitment as possible by starting from that tonic contraction where it's like it's weak, it's not quite so strong. You're already using a lot of your endurance fibers. When you fire up the maximal strength contraction, your endurance fibers have already been working a little bit more than normal, and you're adding all that extra strength. So this will encourage more of the muscles to contribute. It also, as I said, will pull in other muscles. You can do this where instead of going all the way to maximum strength, you go just a little bit lower than maximum strength, so you still work within the confines of the pelvic floor, not pushing to where you're going to trigger other muscles to activate. But it is useful to do both actually. So start soft, work your way up, and together we're going to, I think, build really strong pelvic floors. If you liked this video, please feel free to like, share or comment. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe, and remember to talk about pelvic floor dysfunction. If we talk about these things, we make it easier for the people that are suffering in silence. Together we can and will make a difference.